Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 45. And he brought out from him a merciful man, which found favor in the sight of all flesh, even Moses, beloved of Elohim and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to the glorious Kodashim, saints, and magnified him, so that his enemies stood in fear of him. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, and showed him part of his kavod. He sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the dark cloud, and gave him commandments before his face, even the Torah of life and knowledge, that he might teach Yaakov his covenants, and Yasharal, Israel, his judgments. He exalted Aaron, a righteous man, like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi. An everlasting covenant he made with him, and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments, and clothed him with a robe of kavod. He put upon him perfect kavod, and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, with a long robe, and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates, and with many golden bells round about, that as he went there may be a sound, and a noise that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of his people, with a kodesh garment, with gold and blue silk and purple, the work of the embroidery, with a breastplate of judgment, and with Urim and Thummim, with twisted scarlet, the work of the cunning workman, with precious stones graven like seals, set in gold, the work of the jeweler, with the writing engraved for a memorial, after the number of the tribes of Yasharal. He set a crown of gold upon the turban, wherein was engraved Kodashah, holiness, an ornament of honor, a costly work, the desires of the eyes, goodly and beautiful. Before him there were none such, neither did ever any stranger put them on, but only his children and his children's children perpetually. Their sacrifices shall be wholly consumed every day, twice continually. Moshe consecrated him and anointed him with kodesh oil. This was appointed unto him by an everlasting covenant, and to his seed, so long as the Shamayim should remain, that they should minister unto him, and execute the office of the priesthood, and bless the people in his name. He chose him out of all men living to offer sacrifices to Yahweh, incense and a sweet savor, for a memorial, to make reconciliation for his people. He gave unto him his commandments and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Yaakov the testimonies, and inform Yasharal in his Torah. Strangers conspired together against him, and maligned him in the wilderness, even the men that were of Dathan's and Aviram's side, and the assembly of Korach, with fury and wrath. This Yahweh saw, and it displeased him, and in his wrathful indignation they were consumed. He did wonders upon them, to consume them with the fiery flame. But he made Aharon and gave him a heritage, and divided unto him the first fruits of the increase. Especially he prepared bread in abundance, for they eat of the sacrifices of Yahudah, which he gave unto him and his seed. Howbeit in the land of the people he had no inheritance. The third in kavod is Pinchak, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of Yahudah, and stood up with good courage of heart, when the people were turned back and made reconciliation for Yasharal. Therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary and of his people, and that he and his posterity should have the dignity of the priesthood forever, according to the covenant made with David, son of Yeshai, of the tribe of Yahudah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity alone. So the inheritance of Aharon should be also unto his seed. Elohim give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their kavod may endure forever. Chapter 47. And after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David. As is the fat taken away from the peace offering, so was David chosen out of the children of Yasharal. He played with lions as with kids, and with bears and lambs. Slew he not of Rephai when he was yet but young? And did he not take away reproach from the people when he lifted up his hands with the stone and the sling, and beat down the boasting of Goliath? For he called upon Elohim Yahweh, and he gave him strength in his right hand to slay that mighty warrior, and set up the horn of his people. So the people honored him with 10,000s, and praised him in the blessings, Barakah of Yahweh, in that he gave him a crown of kavod. For he destroyed the enemies on every side, and brought to naught the Pelashitim, his adversaries, and broke their horn in sunder unto this day. And in all his works he praised the Kodesh One, Most High, with words of kavod. With his whole heart he sung songs, and loved him that made him. He set singers also before the altar, that by their voices they might make sweet melody, and daily sing praises in their songs. He beautified their feasts, and set in order the solemn times until the end, that they might praise his Kodesh name, and that the temple might sound from morning. Yahweh took away his sins, and exalted his horn forever. He gave him a covenant of kings, and a throne of kavod in Yasharal. After him rose up a wise son, and for his sake he dwelt at large. Shalomah, Solomon, reigned in a peaceful time, and was honored, for Elohim made all quiet round about him, that he might build a house in his name, and prepare his sanctuary forever. How wise were you in your youth, and as a flood, filled with understanding. Your being covered the whole earth, and you filled it with dark parables. Your name went far unto the islands, and for your peace you were beloved. The countries marveled at you for your songs, and proverbs, and parables, and interpretations. By the name of Yahweh Elohim, which is called Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, you did gather gold as tin, and did multiply silver as lead. You did bow your loins unto women, and by your body you were brought into subjection. You did stain your honor and pollute your seed, so that you brought wrath upon your children, and were grieved for your folly. So the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. But Yahuwah will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loves him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Yaakov, and out of him a root unto David. Thus rested Shalom with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rechavam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding, who turned away the people through his counsel. There was also Yaroam, the son of Nebat, who caused Yasharal to sin, and showed Ephraim the way of sin. And their sins were multiplied exceedingly, that they were driven out of the land. For they sought out all wickedness, till the vengeance came upon them. Chapter 48. Then Eliyahu the prophet stood up as fire, and his words burned like a lamp. He brought a sore famine upon them, and by his zeal he diminished their number. By the word of Yahuwah he shut up the Shamayim, and also 3 times brought down fire. O Eliyahu, how were you honored in your wondrous deeds, and who may glory like unto you? Who did raise up a dead man from death, and his being from the place of the dead, by the word of the Most High? Who brought kings to destruction, and honorable men from their bed? Who heard the rebuke of Yahuwah in Sinai, and in Chorah, the judgment of vengeance? Who anointed kings to take revenge, and prophets to succeed after him? Who was taken up in a whirlwind of fire, and in a chariot of fiery horses? Who were ordained for reproofs in their times, to pacify the wrath of Yahuwah's judgment before it broke forth into fury, and to turn the heart of the father unto the son, and to restore the tribes of Yaakov. Baruch are they that saw you and slept in love, for we shall surely live. Eliyahu it was who was covered with a whirlwind, and Elisha was filled with his Ruach. While he lived, he was not moved with the presence of any prince, neither could any bring him into subjection. No word could overcome him, and after his death, his body prophesied. He did wonders in his life, and at his death were his works marvelous. For all this the people repented not, neither departed they from their sins, till they were spoiled and carried out of their land, and were scattered through all the earth. Yet there remained a small people, and a ruler in the house of David, of whom some did that which was pleasing to Elohim, and some multiplied sins. UTEriKiYah fortified his city, and brought in water into the midst thereof. He dug the hard rock with iron, and made wells for waters. In his time Chanishariv came up and sent Shakeh, and lifted up his hand against Zion, and boasted proudly. Then trembled their hearts and hands, and they were in pain as women in travail. But they called upon Yahuwah, which is merciful, and stretched out their hands toward him. And immediately the Kodesh one heard them out of Shamayim, and delivered them by the ministry of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. He smote the hosts of Ashur, and his Malach destroyed them. For UTEriKiYah had done the thing that pleased Yahuwah, and was strong in the ways of David, his father, as Yeshayahu the prophet, who was great and faithful in his vision had commanded him. In his time the sun went backward, and he lengthened the king's life. He saw by an excellent Rawah what should come to pass at the last, and he comforted them that mourned in Zion. He showed what should come to pass forever, and secret things, or ever they came. Chapter 49. The remembrance of Yoshiyahu is like the composition of the perfume that is made by the art of the apothecary. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a banquet of wine. He behaved himself uprightly in the conversion of the people, and took away the abominations of iniquity. He directed his heart unto Yahudah, and in the time of the wicked he established the worship of Elohim. All except Dawid and Ezekiyahu and Yoshiyahu were defective, for they forsook the Torah of the Most High. Even the kings of Yahudah failed. Therefore he gave their power unto others, and their kavod to a strange nation. They burnt the chosen city of the sanctuary, and made the streets desolate, according to the prophecy of Jeremiah. For they entreated him evil, who nevertheless was a prophet, sanctified in his mother's womb, that he might root out and afflict and destroy, and that he might build up also and plant. It was Ezekiel who saw the glorious vision which was showed him upon the chariot of the cherubim, for he made mention of the enemies under the figure of the rain, and directed them that went right. And of the 12 prophets let the memorial be Baruch, and let their bones flourish again out of their place, for they comforted Yaakov and delivered them by assured hope. How shall we magnify Zerubbabel? Even he was as a signet on the right hand. So was Yahushua, the son of Yahussadak, who in their time built the house and set up a Kodesh temple to Yahuwah, which was prepared for everlasting kavod. And among the elect was Nehemiah, whose renown is great, who raised up for us the walls that were fallen, and set up the gates and the bars, and raised up our ruins again. But upon the earth was no man created like Enoch, for he was taken from the earth. Neither was there a young man born like Joseph, a governor of his brethren, a stay of the people, whose bones were regarded of Yahuwah. Shem and Seth were in great honor among men, and so was Adam above every living thing in creation. Chapter 50. Shimon, the high priest, the son of Onyahu, who in his life repaired the house again, and in his days fortified the temple, and by him was built from the foundation the double height, the high fortress of the wall about the temple. In his days the cistern to receive water, being in a compass as the sea, was covered with plates of brass. He took care of the temple that it should not fall, and fortified the city against besieging. How was he honored in the midst of the people in his coming out of the sanctuary? He was as the morning star in the midst of a cloud, and as the moon at the full, as the sun shining upon the temple of the Most High, and as the rainbow giving light in the bright clouds, and as the flower of roses in the spring of the year, as lilies by the rivers of waters, and as the branches of the frankincense tree in the time of summer, as fire and incense in the censer, and as a vessel of beaten gold set with all manner of precious stones, and as a fair olive tree budding forth fruit, and as a cypress tree which grows up to the clouds. When he put on the robe of honor and was clothed with the perfection of kavod, when he went up to the Kodesh altar, he made the garment of holiness honorable. When he took the portions out of the priest's hands, he himself stood by the hearth of the altar, compassed about as a young cedar in Lebanon, and as palm trees they compassed him round about. So were all the sons of Aharon in their kavod, and the oblations of Yahweh in their hands, before all the assembly of Yasharal, and finishing the service at the altar, that he might adorn the offering of the Most High, Al Shaddai. He stretched out his hand to the cup, and poured of the blood of the grape. He poured out at the foot of the altar a sweet-smelling savor unto the Most High, King of all. Then shouted the sons of Aharon, and sounded the silver trumpets, and made a great noise to be heard, for a remembrance before the Most High. Then all the people together hastened and fell down to the earth upon their faces to worship their Yahweh Zevaoth Al-Yom. The singers also sang praises with their voices. With great variety of sounds was there made sweet melody. And the people besought Yahweh, the Most High, by prayer before him that is merciful, till the solemnity of Yahweh was ended, and they had finished his service. Then he went down and lifted up his hands over the whole assembly of the children of Yasharal to give the blessing of Yahweh with his lips, and to rejoice in his name. And they bowed themselves down to worship the second time, that they might receive a barakah, blessing from the Most High. Now therefore, Baruch ye, the Elohim of all, which only does wondrous things everywhere, which exalts our days from the womb, and deals with us according to his mercy. He grant us joyfulness of heart, and that peace may be in our days in Yasharal forever, that he would confirm his mercy with us and deliver us at this time. There be two manner of nations which my heart abhors, and the third is no nation. They that sit upon the mountain of Shomeron, and they that dwell among the Pelishtim, and that foolish people that dwell in Shechem. Yahushua, the son of Sirach of Yerushalayim, has written in this sefer the instruction of understanding and knowledge, who out of his heart poured forth wisdom. Baruch is he that shall be exercised in these things, and he that lays them up in his heart shall become wise. For if he does them, he shall be strong to all things. For the light of Yahweh leads him, who gives wisdom to the righteous. Baruch be the name of Yahweh forever. Amen. Amen.